video, we are going to be making a basic tube top on the Sentro knitting machine. In this video, we are going to be going through the basics of the Sentro knitting machine, including how to cast on and off, how to customize the tube top, and what yarn to use. Starting off with the yarn, I prefer to use a cotton yarn, acrylic yarn, or a cotton mixed yarn. But the yarn you choose to make it really depends on how stretchy the yarn is. It really comes down to experimenting with the yarn you have available and figuring out what yarn works smoothest with your machine and to your preference. In this video, I'm going to be using a cotton mixed yarn. To make this tube top, you're going to need a Sentro knitting machine, your chosen yarn, a crochet hook, waste yarn, and a darning needle. Starting off with the basics of the machine, to your left is the row counter, which to reset to 0, click the black button. This is tension hook, and depending on how thin your yarn is, how tight you want your project to be, depends on which hole you put your yarn through. As you look around your Sentro machine, you will find the white peg. This is where you start and finish your project, and it helps you maintain where the start of the next row is. On your right, there is a tube and a panel mode. To make this tube top, you're going to want it in the tube mode, which is the T, which is down. To your right is the turning wheel, and as you turn this, the pegs will move, and that is how you knit. The turning wheel can go either way. It really depends on which way you're more comfortable turning it. Above the tension is where your yarn will be going through. This helps it keep in line and make sure it catches correctly. Starting off, you want to find your white peg and you want to wind that so it is lined with your tension. Cast on, you want to grab your yarn, find the white peg. You are then going to turn the turning wheel until you get to the peg on the left side of the white. You're then going to hook the yarn underneath the hook and keep a tail on the yarn on the inside of the machine. Once you have hooked your first peg, you're going to turn the machine, and as you turn, you're going to go behind the next peg, in front of the next, behind, in front, behind, in front. Continue this all the way around until you get back to the white peg. If you have done it correctly, you will see that the last peg before the white should be going in front and catching the hook. You're then going to rotate past so the white is on the right side of the tension rod. You're then going to insert your yarn into the slip, making sure the yarn is going through the hole at the end. Once you have completed this step, you should be able to see that the yarn goes underneath one peg, so it's being caught by this peg, and then it goes in front of the next, caught, in front, and that pattern continues all the way around the machine. Making sure that your counter is on 0. This will, as you've just done the starting round. Once you have cast on, you're going to insert your yarn into the hole to keep it tension correct. Depending on the size of your yarn and how tight you want your project to be, you're going to insert the yarn either the closest to the machine, which is the tightest, or the furthest away, which is the loosest. I prefer to insert my yarn into the middle. After we've cast on and placed our yarn through the tension, we are now going to be turning for a total of 120 rows. This many rows allows you to have a full coverage tube top that can be scrunched up so that it is less see-through and that it has a scrunched up effect. To continue working around, go at a slow, steady pace to make sure that the machine flows smoothly. To do this, on the first few rounds you want to go really slow, making sure that the yarn is being caught underneath each hook so that the yarn, as you turn, is going underneath the hook and pulled down. Continue this slowly until you get back to the white peg. Once you've made it to the white peg, continue working. That is the pace I like to work out, as it ensures that there will be no mistakes and it's slow enough that I can make sure that the yarn is going properly. As you work along, you will find that your project will start flowing onto the inside, and I'll see you once we've done a few more rows. This is what your project should be looking like once you have made it halfway. So this is 60 rows. And you should have a smooth looking project. Depending on what length you would like, I will do anywhere from another 20 to another 60 rows. I'm going to be doing another 60 rows for a total of 120 rows. Because I have run out of yarn, I'm going to be doing a color change. To do this, get to the white peg. You're then going to take out of your yarn off the tension and out of there. You're then going to place the tail on the inside of the machine. You're now going to grab your next color and place it in the machine, in the tension guide, leaving a long tail on the middle. Place your yarn through the same tension ring and slowly turn, making sure that it catches on the next peg, and continue working with the next color. Once you've done a few rows of the new color, you can now tie a knot between the new color and the old color. To do this, tie a simple knot. Once you've made the first knot, you're going to pull tight enough that the yarn joins and the hole closes up. Continue working on as normal. Once you've completed 119 rows, on the last row you want to make sure you're going slowly until you see the white peg. Once you've seen the white peg, you want the yarn to be on the left side of the white peg, making sure that the yarn's being caught. You are then going to take your yarn out of the tension guide and place the yarn ball in the middle. I am going to be using the waste yarn method. So with a contrast colour, you're going to insert the yarn through the tension guide on the right side of the peg with a tail in the middle. Place the yarn into the tension loop and continue working for at least 5 rows, making sure the yarn got caught on the peg next to the white. After doing 8 rows of the waste yarn, you're then going to take the waste yarn out of the tension guide, placing it under the white hook so that the yarn is on the left side of the hook, and placing the waste yarn in the center of your machine. You're then going to do 1 round slowly with no yarn through the tension guide. We're going to do 1 more round with no yarn through the tension guide. In this round, your project will start falling off the pegs. That is okay, that's what we want. So do 1 more round and you'll see that they will start falling off the peg. Once your project is completely out of all the pegs, you can put the machine aside. Now take your black yarn or whatever yarn you used last and the waste yarn out of the center. You're now going to grab your crochet hook and you want to find where the 2 yarns change color. You'll be able to see that there is a hole there, and to tighten that hole, all we're going to have to do is insert our crochet hook under the 2 black loops. That's loop 1 and this is loop 2 where the waste yarn is coming out. You're then going to insert your hook into the next 2 black loops as well. So this is loop 1, insert your hook through this top loop. You're then going to grab the yarn that's attached to the ball and slip stitch by pulling it through all 4 loops. You are now going to chain 2 by yarning over, pulling through, yarning over, pulling through. You are now going to insert your hook into the same 4 loops and do a double crochet. To do a double crochet, yarn over so there's 2 loops of yarn on your hook. Insert your hook through all 4, yarn over, pull through, 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. You're now going to move on to the next loop. What we are doing is crocheting the project shut to ensure that it will not come undone. Once you've finished, doing a double crochet increase around the whole circumference of your project. For the next stitch, yarn over, insert your hook through the first loop and through the second loop. So you have 4 loops on your hook. And when you insert your hook, make sure that the waste yarn is on either side of your hook and not in the middle. So yarn over, pull through 2. So you have 3 on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same 2 loops, making sure you're not collecting the waste yarn. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Moving on to the next stitch, yarn over, find the 2 loops, which is a bit hard to see, but you have your waste yarn either side, and in the middle you have 1 loop, 2 loops. So insert your hook through the front loop and through the back loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and again, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Continue this all the way around until you come back to your first double crochet increase. Once you have made it back to where you started, I like to do another double crochet increase into the same stitch that I started in, making sure that I don't get the waste yarn. Once you've ensured that you have collected all of the ends and done 2 double crochets into each stitch, you can slip stitch into the first double crochet increase you did. Do this by inserting your hook in between the 2 double crochet clusters, yarn over, pull through, and pull through again. I then like to chain 2 and cut my yarn and then pull through so that you have tied off. Once you've done this, you can now undo the waste yarn by grabbing it where it's attached to the yarn ball and start pulling, and it will come apart. Once you've made it to the first row, you're going to pull the yarn so that the yarn is coming out of where you began. Continue pulling out the yarn until there is no more waste yarn colour in your project. The project should be looking like this. On the end that you started at, you want to find the yarn tail from the beginning. Once you've found the yarn tail, with your crochet hook, you're going to insert your hook underneath the 2 loops and then under the next 2 loops, which should be to your left. Insert your hook under that loop, yarn over, pull through, and pull through again. You're then going to chain 1 by yarning over and pulling through, and chain 1 more, yarn over, pull through, and on that last chain, pull the yarn tail all the way through and pull to tighten. You've now made sure that both ends are closed off and won't fall apart. Once you've done this, you can cut the yarn tail close to the knot you tied, and the same with the other end. And you have now completed a basic tube top. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know how your project went.